All right, good evening and welcome to the August 24th meeting of the Falmouth Conservation Commission. This meeting is being held virtually via Zoom video conference. Please be patient. We'll do our best to be efficient and allow everyone to participate equitably. This meeting is also being broadcast and streamed online by FCTV in real time. As this meeting is being recorded by Zoom and broadcast by FCTV, please be cognizant of what you say, how you say it, and what can be seen and heard in your background. I'd like to thank our staff, Jen, Alyssa, Josh, Mark, Amy, and Kristen, for their continued support to this commission and their diligence providing applicants with the assistance necessary to achieve a positive result with their applications. At the moment, we're missing Courtney. We expect him to make a grand entrance soon. Allow me to remind you guys, for commenting, I'll call on each of you at the appropriate time so we can refrain from speaking over each other. Also, all votes have to be done by roll call. When I call your name, please state your name and your vote, even if you've made the motion or the second. To our public participants, at any time during this meeting, you may enter any comments or questions via the chat function. At the appropriate time, they will be read into the record. The link and further instructions are located on the agenda. Also, per Chapter 107 of the Acts of 2022 regarding COVID-19, allows for full public participation. Therefore, if you'd like to be heard on a specific hearing, let us know via the chat function. Then at the appropriate time, I will call for public comment. When you are selected, you will be moved into the hearing as a participant. As such, you must have your video enabled, be succinct and respectful of others. Public comments will be limited to 3 minutes each. Regarding RDAs, as an applicant, you want to hear a negative determination, as it allows you to move forward with your project without the necessity of a full notice of intent application. For the benefit of anyone waiting for a particular hearing tonight, so that you're not waiting unnecessarily, the following hearings are expected to be continued: 151 T-Ticket Path and 357 West Falmouth Highway. First up, vote minutes, August 3rd, 2022. Anyone?
Read the minutes, and I would move approval as written, pending any comments this evening.
Gladfelter, second.
All right. We have a motion and a second to accept the minutes as submitted. Betsy.
Gladfelter, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin.
O'Brien, aye.
Maury.
Arlo Hawks, aye.
Melissa.
Tug, aye.
Steve.
Patton, aye.
It is unanimous. We have accepted the minutes of August 3rd. Next up, vote minutes of August 10th, 2022.
I'll move that we accept the minutes of August 10th as written. Tug.
Patton, second.
All right. We have a motion and a second to accept the minutes of August 10th. Betsy.
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney.
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin.
O'Brien, aye.
Maury.
Abstain, I was not there.
Okay. Melissa.
Tug, aye.
Steve.
Patton, aye.
It is unanimous with one abstention to accept the minutes of August 10th. Thank you, Kristen.
Yes, thank you, Kristen. You do a great job on those.
Next up, request for a continuance under notice of intent. First up, Constance M. Ryan and Andrew Doyle, 151 Ticket Path, Falmouth, Mass, for permission to extend the existing revetment, construct access stairs, and nourish the bank. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the applicant is requesting a continuance until August 31st.
So moved, Arlo Hawks.
Patton,
Arlo
second.
Hawks.
All right, remember that note about speaking over each other? Okay. All right, we have a motion and a second to continue this until 8:31. Betsy.
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney.
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, I.
Maury,
Carlo Hawks, aye.
Melissa,
Front aye.
Steve.
Patton, aye.
It is unanimous. Excuse me. We have continued this until August 31st. Next up, 357 West Falmouth Highway, LLC, maybe? 357 West Falmouth Highway, Falmouth, Mass. For permission to raise, RAZE, an existing single-family dwelling and to construct a new single-family dwelling with a garage and covered porch, to reconfigure the driveway, to install a pool, patio, stormwater infiltration system, and a new sewage disposal system, to conduct invasive species management and restoration, and all associated grading and landscaping. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the applicant is requesting a continuance until August 31st.
So moved, Carlo
Bird, so
Hawks.
moved. And I have a question as to the reason.
We're working with the applicant's representative, Courtney, to come up with, do some revisions to the plan before they present it to the Concom.
Thank you.
I'll
All
make
right,
a
we have-
second, Jamie.
Thank you. All right, we have a motion and a second to continue this until August 31st. Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney,
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, I.
Maury,
Carlo Hawks, aye.
Melissa,
Front aye.
Steve.
Patton, aye.
It is unanimous. We have continued this until 8:31. Next up, request for determination of applicability. David and Janice Maw, 11 Narragansett Street, Falmouth, Mass. For permission to construct an addition, covered porch and garage. Reconfigure the existing driveway and all associated excavation, grading, and landscaping. Ms. Bergeron.
Staff recommends a -2 under the state and bylaw. Resource area boundaries are not confirmed.
Bird, so moved. Is this a floodplain?
Yes, all the work is located in the floodplain.
Thank you.
Patton, second.
All right. We have a motion and a second to accept staff's recommendation. Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney,
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, I.
Maury,
Carlo Hawks, aye.
Melissa,
Front aye.
Steve.
Patton, aye.
It is unanimous. We have accepted staff's recommendation. Next up, estate of Carol Shea, care of Jeffrey Schulman, 200 Chester Street, North Falmouth, Mass. For permission to pump and fill the existing septic tank, abandon the existing leaching trench, and install a new sewage disposal system. Ms. Bergeron.
Staff recommends a -3 under the state and a -2 under the bylaw. Resource area boundaries are not confirmed.
Bird, so moved.
Melissa, you have a question?
Yeah, I have a question. I'll second it. Freytag second. And I was wondering if we could, the last point made by the staff on the RDA applicability. It says the vegetation being removed off Wild Harbor Road should be restored. I was wondering if we could change that to shall be restored.
Yes, yep. And I had reached out to the engineer. It's just something to talk about more specifics when the time comes.
Okay, thank you. So I'll second.
All right. We have a motion and a second to accept staff's recommendation. Is there anything else? All right. Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney,
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, I.
Maury,
Carlo Hawks, aye.
Melissa,
Freytag aye.
Steve.
Patton, aye.
It is unanimous. We have accepted staff's recommendation. Next up, Lisa Goldberg, 175 Edgewater Drive East, East Falmouth, Mass. For permission to construct a stoop and step and to install mitigation plantings. Ms. Bergeron.
Staff recommends a -3 under the state and a -2 under the bylaw. Resource area boundaries are not confirmed.
Bird, so moved.
Patton,
Freytag
second.
second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to accept staff's recommendation. Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney,
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Maury,
Carla Hawks Eye.
Melissa,
Fragile guy.
Steve.
Patton, aye.
It is unanimous. We have accepted staff's recommendation. Next up, Nicholas Dyso, 105 Meadow Neck Road, Falmouth, Mass. For permission to vista prune according to FWR 10.18, 10B. Ms. Bergeron,
Yes, thank you. The applicant has requested a continuance until August 31st.
So moved, Carla Hawks. Gladfelter, second.
all right, we have a motion and a second to continue this until 8:31. Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney,
Bird eye.
Matthews, aye, Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Maury,
Carla Hawks Eye.
Melissa,
Fragile guy.
Steve.
Patton, aye.
It is unanimous. We have continued this until 8:31. Next up, Carl and Catherine license, 282 Edgewater Drive East, East Falmouth, Mass. For permission to reconstruct a second floor deck. Ms. Bergeron,
Staff recommends a -3 under the state and a -2 under the bylaw. Resource area boundaries are not confirmed.
Bird, so move.
Fragile
O'Brien,
second.
second.
Oh, wake up, guys.
Yeah, sorry.
well, all right, we have a motion and a reluctant second to accept staff's recommendation. Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Bird eye.
Matthews, aye, Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Maury,
Carla Hawks Eye.
Melissa,
Fragile guy.
Steve.
Patton, aye.
It is unanimous. We have accepted staff's recommendation. Next up, Timothy and Susan Martell, 36 Mariners Lane, Falmouth, Mass. For permission to raise RAZE an existing single-family dwelling, construct a new single-family dwelling, install dry wells, and upgrade the sewage disposal system to meet Title V requirements. Ms. Bergeron,
Staff recommends -2 under the state and the bylaw. Resource area boundaries are not confirmed.
Bird, so move.
And second,
all right. We have a motion and a second to accept staff's recommendation, assuming this is just in a flood zone, Melissa?
It is.
Yeah,
Yep.
all right. Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney,
Bird eye.
Matthews, aye, Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Maury,
Carla Hawks Eye.
Melissa,
Fragile guy.
Steve.
Patton, aye.
It is unanimous. We have accepted staff's recommendation. Next up, continued request for determination of applicability. First up, Wild Harbor Estates Homeowners Council Trust, 163 Birch Lane, North Falmouth, Mass. For permission to vista prune according to FWR 10.18, 10B. Ms. Bergeron,
The applicant is requesting a continuance until August 31st.
So moved, Carla Hawks.
Bird.
Gladfelter, second.
We have a reason.
Yes, they had difficulty in acquiring a arborist, but we do have a site visit scheduled for next Tuesday in time for the hearing.
Okay. Thank you.
all right. We have a motion and a second to continue this till 8:31. Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney,
Bird eye.
Matthews, aye, Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Maury,
Carla Hawks Eye.
Melissa,
Fragile guy.
and Steve.
Patton, aye.
It is unanimous. We have continued this till 8:31. Next up are requests for a hearing under a notice of intent. All hearings of the Falmouth Conservation Commission are held simultaneously under the authorities of the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and the Falmouth Wetlands Bylaw. Although a single decision of the commission is issued, it represents a separate decision under each authority. As a reminder, public commenting is limited to 3 minutes. So I encourage you to stay within the purview of this board, which are the rules and regulations of the Wetlands Protection Act and the Falmouth Wetlands Bylaw, and how they pertain to a particular application. The chair reserves the right to stop any commenting that is disparaging or inconsequential to the hearing. First up, Michael Day, Day Family, West Falmouth Trust, 0 Low Way, Falmouth, Mass. For permission to construct a single-family dwelling with garage, porches, and deck on an undeveloped wooded lot to install a pool and to install a Title V sewage disposal system. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I've promoted Tom Bunker up to present his project.
Mr. Bunker, you're up, sir.
Oh, thank you. I'm up at the plate. I'm Tom Bunker, record with BSS Design, and we prepared this plan for the Day Family Trust. I can show you, I will share my screen and show you a few things and go through the project.
Yes, sir.
Here's the overview, the outline of this lot. The line going this direction is the bike path going through West Falmouth. We're just south of, let me show you a better one here. That shows a much bigger picture, more context. This curvy line here is Route 28A. Chase Road goes from 28A down and crosses the bike path. As I said, the bike path is going down this way. The gas station is right down here. Low Way comes off of Chase Road in this location right through here to a little cul-de-sac. And there are 2 undeveloped lots to the west of the bike path is Dealey Lane, and this is Mashapaquet Creek, and goes out to Snug Harbor below the Nashawina Street Bridge. On the lot east, there's a tennis court right in here, a house with a swimming pool in this location. Have the flood map here. They can show you an overview of this. I don't like how the GIS makes it faded like this, but anyway, the white area is in zone X, which is not a flood hazard zone. The bike path is down through this location. The salmon color around it is flood zone AE, elevation 10, I believe. 15, sorry, elevation 15 through here. And this is the a shaded X of the 500-year flood zone, so-called. And this is our survey of the property. Again, the bike path in Dealey Lane is to the west. Tennis court in this location to the east of the property. So long neck of the property coming in through here. This, excuse me. So on the flood map, this area through Low Way is in the flood zone. Tennis court and the house to the east are in the flood zone. And this, the elevation 15 rides along the face of this. This is a excavation, a cut when the railroad was created, which was 104 years before the Wetland Protection Act went into effect around 1871. This was created, but it is steeper than 4 to 1. Papa Bank is right along this location, the line with the triangles we have here. So Papa Bank is right here. It's a distinct Papa Bank, drops down like 4 or 5 feet down to the pavement of the bike path. And the flood zone goes around the south and the southeast side of the property. And this is the shaded X flood zone here. The house we're proposing is not in the flood zone. Flood zone is 15. This elevation is up around 18, where the house is going, and a pool. The coastal bank is more than 100 feet from any wetland resource area, so there is no zone A to it. We have a 25-foot setback from the property line, a 29-foot setback to the pool from the top of bank. The house is 44 feet back from the top of the bank. Limit of work runs through here. The entire lot is covered very much with honey locust, bittersweet, forsythia, and some other, I think, black cherry trees and all in there. We have a limit of work that runs around inland of the top of the coastal bank. At one time, this driveway was designed circular, so it would come in through here and then go up the coastal bank. Right here, it crosses the coastal bank. And we had it also going down this face of the coastal bank and making a circle like that. But, staff recommendation was to change that, so we would only cross the bank one time. The septic system is sited according to your regulations more than 100 feet from the coastal bank. In this case, it's 100 feet from the bottom of the coastal bank. That's why it's so far. It's a pipe running from the septic tank over to here and then down to the leaching field in this location alongside the driveway going out to the cul-de-sac. The matter of work on a coastal bank, again, this is not within 100 feet of any other wetland. It is, therefore, it has no zone A. This bank has very little significance, I would say, in storm damage prevention, as from the earlier aerial photo I showed. Mashapaquet Creek is off to the east, or rather the west, I'm sorry, off to the west on the other side of Dealey Lane and bike path. This deep coastal bank is on the side which theoretically any floodwaters would come from. There's flood zone all around the property here. And this is a bank, in spite of technically being seaward facing. I'd say it's not seaward facing, at least it's not facing where the floodwaters would be coming from. And aside from the vegetation that's on it, it has no particular role as a habitat for species, and it's not even a natural habitat that's on here. It does play a role as a vertical buffer to storm damage prevention, but light grading on it to put up a driveway in this location. The 14 is crossing it, and we're proposing a 15 right here. So there's a foot of fill, but then right here, there's a little bit of cut. So it's very light grading. The coastal bank is only this small amount right here. And I feel this amount of grading will not diminish its capacity to protect property from storm damage prevention. And frankly, this bank does not protect any property that's further inland. This tennis court or the house further inland, only this one area here, which is off the flood zone. So I'd hope you can make a finding that this work will not adversely affect the stability or the functionality of this coastal bank, and allow this work to proceed. I have other notes around here to on this bank here to remove this here. We'll keep it as natural state until and unless a more comprehensive management plan is created for the coastal bank itself. But that on the flat land below the coastal bank, they could remove the invasive vines and shrubs and do some management of the bad vegetation as we have around in this area also, on the bike path side of the house and the swimming pool in this location. So that is the presentation of the project, and I will put the picture down and take questions.
Thank you, Tom. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I mean, the only concern the staff has was the grading on the coastal bank. Tom, thank you for revising the plan so it is much less impact on the bank than that previous plan. But in accordance with the reg, it's still alteration of an actual coastal bank. So the board is going to have to make a determination on that. Other than that, I don't believe we have any additional questions. I think Alyssa just picked up on, there's 2 lot 3s on your plan, Tom, so
Yeah.
let's
Yeah.
just change
Good
one.
eyes.
Okay, and I think that's all I have unless Alyssa had something else to add.
Nothing else. Thank you.
Commissioner comments, Betsy?
It looks as if, looking at the dark grading lines, that there's a fair amount of grading that's going to be done. Is there a net fill being brought into there?
You know, I didn't calculate that, but I think that would be there is grading along the driveway, but between the excavation for the house, the pool, and the septic system, there might be enough, but I would say that there's probably a chance that there'll be some fill brought in, but I didn't calculate it.
But it probably wouldn't be a lot.
I don't think it's a lot, no.
Okay, that's my only question. Thanks.
Courtney?
No questions.
Kevin?
No questions, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Maury?
I just had one. Is there a wetland near here? Only because there was a wood frog there. So I'm just curious if there's a wetland near there.
There's a wetland. We have a line on the plan that shows, we didn't locate it, but we approximated it, but there's a line that crosses the southwest corner of the property. That it's a line that's 200 feet from a wetland. I think south of that, there is a place where the I can show on the picture head up here. Well,
Yeah.
doesn't
Okay.
matter.
Yeah. I was just curious.
There are wood frogs you can hear from along there. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then I did like to thank you very much for your lot line staking because it was a confusing lot. And thank you for that. It was easy to find. I mean, Lowe's Way was easy to find. There wasn't much on the street, but the staking in the field was very adequate. Thank you.
I'll tell my guy.
All right. Good, Maury?
That's, yep.
Melissa?
Really no comment. I'll ditto Maury's comments on the staking though. Thank you.
Steve?
Yeah, so we wouldn't have been able to find anything if it hadn't been staked. So thank you again.
It was tough going through that vegetation.
Yeah. Good job, Tom. All right. Jen, is there anything in the public chat function, please?
Nothing in the public chat, Mr. Chairman.
And Jamie, I'll make a motion to close the hearing and take it under advisement.
Bird, second.
Yeah. Short and sweet. I love it. All right. We have a motion and a second to close the hearing and take it under advisement. There are no public comments. If there's nothing further, we're going to vote. Betsy?
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney?
Bird eye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin?
O'Brien, aye.
Maury?
Carlo Hawks, aye.
Melissa?
Hi, tall guy.
Steve?
Pat and I.
It is unanimous. We have closed this hearing. Thank you, Mr. Bunker.
Thank you for your time. I'll see you later tonight.
Excellent. All right, next up. This one has already been continued. Therefore, Pam Barter, Wakeby Development, Inc., 11 Galleon Drive, Falmouth, Mass., for after-the-fact permission to remove a deck and for permission to construct a new deck, install mitigation plantings, and restore an area of unpermitted clearing. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I have promoted Zach Spazinski up from Bracken Engineering to present the project. Oh, one
Zach,
thing,
you're
Zach,
up,
you
sir.
don't have a DEP number yet, so won't be able to close it tonight for you.
I did get one from Callie.
You did? Okay, let me double check real quick.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. Again, for the record, Zach Basinski, professional engineer, Bracken Engineering. Here this evening on behalf of Pam Barter of Lakeview Development. At this time, I'm going to share my screen.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So again, project site is 11 Galleon Road, existing developed single-family house lot over in Hatchville, just south of 151. Existing property was built in 1985. Resource areas are a vernal pool and associated BVW, located plan left or south of the locus. As mentioned, the homeowner had done some unauthorized clearing on the property, unaware of the resource areas just off locus of the property. Staff was made aware of this. They reached out to the homeowner and they had stopped the work. And at that point, retained us. We've gone out, did a survey. At that time, we reached out to Sebastian, Bob Gray. Mr. Gray went out to flag the BVW around us. We have been in contact with his office to obtain data sheets. Recently, his office has been sold, so we've spoken with the new gentleman that's running his office, and they're currently in the process of putting the data sheets together, which we will submit back to staff. So as for the proposed project, as it was mentioned, there was some clearing that was done on the lot, so we're looking to rectify that clearing. And there was an old deck that was demoed off of the existing structure, this light gray area here on the project. So the applicants are looking to expand that deck, which would result in an increase of just over 200 square feet of impervious coverage, 242 square feet within the zone A. With that, we are also providing mitigation to offset that increase in impervious. So right now we're proposing 920 square feet of restoration to address the previous clearing on the lot, shown here in purple. And then we have also showing an additional 800 square feet for the increase in impervious area just on the north up here. We did get staff comments back. We have added the additional maple trees into the plans here. Oh, sorry, the red oak trees into the plan. We're showing 4 of those. DBH anywhere from 1.5 to 2.5 inch on size. And then the plantings would be standard restoration plantings native to the area, 3 gallon, 3 feet on center, and a final list would be supplied back to staff prior to planting. And with that, Mr. Matthews, I'll turn it back over.
Excellent. Thank you. Jen?
Couple of things, Zach. It's not on, the DEP number's not up on the portal yet. So do you know when Callie sent you that email? Was it this afternoon?
No, it was the end of last week. I knew she was recovering. Let's see. I can pull it up right now.
Oh,
I'm going to share my screen at this time for that.
Yes.
So we did receive the number. So it did come in 254782. 11 Galleon.
4772?
47.
Go.
Oh, 82, got it. Thank you. Thanks, Zach. And Zach, did you submit the plan, the plan where you had the mitigation and the restoration separated out? Did you submit that to us?
We haven't submitted it back yet. We just corrected it today. We will get that into staff.
Okay, because we haven't had a chance to evaluate that and we can't do it at the hearing, so we may need to continue just so we can confirm on our end that those changes are correct. So that addressed that area of the staff report. We're going to need BVW sheets, so You said that Bob's gonna get you those?
Yep, Bob and the Corey
Perfect.
Bracken's the new gentleman.
All right, excellent. And I think that is about it. Oh, what size are the oaks? If I missed that,
1.5 to 2.5 inch DBH.
thank you. All right. I don't know if Alyssa has anything to add, only that we haven't had a chance to look at the mitigation / restoration. That was one of the comments that we had in the staff report and asked Zach to do. So thank you for doing that. We just haven't been able to confirm it. Okay, that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
All right, Ms. Bergeron.
Just going to reiterate the final note in the staff report. Zach, I know you had Filtrix socks for erosion control on the site. Considering the slope, we'd also like to see silt fencing in addition to that.
You can add
That's
that
it.
on.
Thank you.
All right. Commissioner comments, Courtney,
No comments.
Kevin,
No comments, Mr. Chairman.
Maury,
No comments.
Melissa.
Yeah, just quick question. What kind of oak are you gonna be replacing the unauthorized clearing with?
Red oaks.
Okay, thanks.
Steve.
No questions, sir.
All right. Betsy.
No questions.
Wow. A quick one. All right. Jen, is there anything in the public chat function, please?
Nothing in the public chat, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
just
sir.
one comment. I think they ought to look at something different than red oak, perhaps white oaks, because of the borers and the various other critters that love red oaks. And, you know, we've been trying to control that. They might want to consider a more hardy species of oak.
We can do that.
Thank you. All right. Jen, we need to continue this for the,
If the board would like the staff to confirm the areas, then we'll need to continue it. If you feel comfortable, then you can close it. We just haven't been able, that was one of the comments. We just wanted to see the areas, you know, what area was going to be restoration, what area is going to be used for mitigation. I don't think it's such a big deal in this case, but it's something we just want to confirm. So we could continue it to next week just so we can look at that. Zach, when will you be able to get us that plan?
We can submit it by Friday this week for you. Next week. Yep.
Friday this week.
Get done by the end of the day tomorrow.
If you can get it to me, yeah, if you can get it a little earlier, even a electronic copy, that would be great, just so we can take a quick look at it. We can continue to next week and just let staff do our due diligence.
We'll get that off and we'll get the data sheets over to you too.
Perfect. So I think next week, Mr. Chairman, would be fine.
The request of the applicant, I move that we continue this 1 week to August or September. What's the date?
August 31.
August 31.
Bartok second.
okay.
Thanks, Zach.
So we have a motion and a second to continue this to 8:31. Zach, you're clear on what we're looking for?
Yes,
What
I am.
staff's looking for? Okay, good. All right. If there's nothing further. All right. Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney,
Bird eye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Maury,
Hello, Hawks Eye.
Melissa,
Bartok, aye.
Steve.
No,
It is unanimous. We have continued this until 8:31. Thank you, Zach. All right. Next up, AC Cape Cod LLC, care of Barrett Sutton, 836 Palmer Ave, Falmouth, Mass. For permission to stabilize an eroding slope with the construction of a retaining wall, connect an under drain system to from the wall to an existing drainage system, conduct invasive species management, replant trees, and restore disturbed areas. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Zach is still here to represent 836 Palmer Ave, better known as the Auto Camp. Zach, is there anybody else I am promoting? I know Therese is here.
Yeah, Teresa and then Terry Bechtold.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Zach, good to see you again. Carry on.
Again, for the record, Zach Basinski, professional engineer, Bracken Engineering, here on behalf of Auto Camp. As mentioned, this is 836 Polymer Road. This is a project we had in front of the commission in late winter, early spring of this year to rectify an erosion issue at the top of the slope around the clubhouse. Again, at the last meeting, we had inadvertently cleared some trees on the lot. So we have come back since then, filed a new notice of intent to have this reviewed. We did speak with staff earlier. Again, reviewing this with before we leave this, the staff and commission wanted to have this peer reviewed. So I believe Ms. Lincoln has reviewed that and has found a consultant to review, and we can talk about that this evening. So as for the overall project, some updates since the last time we reviewed the plan. Ms. Sprague from Blue Flax Development has put together a restoration plan for the overall project, which was submitted as part of the package for your review. One of the big items on this is when we went back to update the plan as part of this, on our end, we did discover a Scribner's error from the original plan that was submitted back in the late winter to you guys. During that time period, we had put together an as-built of the site and inadvertently carried an old unapproved wetland line on the project. When we updated this plan for the new notice of intent, we realized that, so we've updated the resource areas for the IVW. That was shown on the plan and approved under the original filing for the project. As a result of that, the limits of the 100-foot buffer around the IVW did pull back a little bit. So on the original submittal, we were taking down 9 trees within the buffer zone. Under this proposed revised buffer zone and corrected buffer zone, it's actually down to 5 trees that are within jurisdiction of the IVW. Also, the overall project length within jurisdiction of the wall is down to 40 feet on the plan for that. Again, Ms. Sprague has again put together a restoration plan. We are showing 5 proposed trees. She can explain that in a little bit more detail. With this, again, there was also some invasive species that we're looking to remove around the areas of the retaining wall in the area, which we're proposing to do as part of this work and restore that. There is other invasive species along the rest of the slope. We did review with Ms. Lincoln earlier today. Our overall intent here is to, if this is approved, get the wall constructed as part of this. As the commission may be aware, we are currently also working with the Board of Health to evaluate the on-site septic system. As part of that, the wastewater consultant is evaluating the wastewater treatment plant that was put in on the site. And we're waiting for his final updates if any modifications have to be made to that wastewater plant, which is just located right outside the jurisdiction or right at the jurisdiction off of the plan locus right here. Once we have that understand and that's been approved through Board of Health, we're going to be submitting another notice of intent application back to the commission to address that, and then some grading along the access gravel roads. But that'll be a separate filing at a later date. With that, I pretty much turn it back over to you, Mr. Matthews, at this time. If you want to hear from Teresa, she's gladly to answer any questions, and we can go from there.
Excellent. Thank you. Teresa, would you like to add anything at this point?
Sure. I just want to thanks Jamie, Teresa Sprague, Blue Flax Design. Just wanted to give the commission an update on the wetlands restoration portion of the project that was approved under a previous notice of intent filing, and talk about how we're proposing to deal with this one particular area, that 800 square foot area that's being called out, and then also the proposed trees to mitigate for the 5 that were cut inadvertently. So just an update on the restoration, the wetland restoration and the slopes around the restoration, we're we've made really good progress. We've got significant control over the invasive vegetation. We have a little bit of Japanese knotweed that continues to hang on. We've definitely gotten quite a good hold and management hold of the Japanese knotweed, but we're continuing to follow up, manage that. We've gotten it down to the point where we just have a few very sickly looking sprigs of that Japanese knotweed popping up here and there throughout the area that we're treating. The shrubs have all been planted on the site. We are planning on planting the trees this fall. I'm actually really grateful that we didn't plant them in the spring, given the drought situation and the fact that everything is quite crispy out there, despite having some overhead irrigation. So the area that we're proposing to manage up on the slope where the retaining wall is going to be constructed, as noted on the plan, it's about an 800 square foot area that's going to be replanted with bayberry. We are proposing, because this slope is so significantly invaded, I think one of the questions staff had is what's the percent cover of invasive vegetation? It's 90% plus invasive vegetation out on this slope. So we did have some significant concerns that until a full invasive species management program is taken on this slope, that anything that we plant back there will be very quickly overwhelmed by the existing invasive vines. So we're showing an area in green that's shaded in green that's just slightly outside of the proposed area. And basically that's, for lack of a better term, a 10-foot sort of firewall where we're proposing to.
Teresa?
Yes.
Teresa, I don't mean to interrupt you, but you're not sharing your plan. I don't know if you're aware of
Oh,
that.
I'm sorry. I can certainly do that. That would be helpful.
Well, we have ours, but it's easy to follow you that way.
I've got it. Yep. Yeah. Here we go. My apologies. I know Zach had it up earlier and I just started rambling on. So the area that we're talking about is sort of a 10-foot strip that we're proposing to manage around the planting area. And that is just we're planning to the west, to the south, and of course to the east, which is just outside of jurisdictional area, to manage the invasive vegetation, seed this area with some deep-rooted native grasses. So we're talking about tall prairie grasses that are native to Barnstable County, switchgrass, Indian grass, big blue stem, in order to really hold that slope. Slow water down, allow water to infiltrate, but give us an opportunity to prevent the invasive vegetation from moving back in and covering the bayberry that we're going to be planting in that shelf area just below the retaining wall. Our hope is that at some point, we will be coming back to you with a full invasive species management program on that entire slope, both in areas within jurisdiction and outside of jurisdiction, to really make sure that this slope is stable. One of the issues here with the water running over the top is, while this slope appears to be very well vegetated, if you look at the ground cover layer, there's absolutely no ground cover layer existing. So there's really nothing deep rooted kind of holding the soils on that slope. So that's our goal in this small restoration area that we're focused on at this point. We are proposing to plant bayberry, which I know is just one species. Normally we like to see more diversity. Again, once a larger invasive species management project is undertaken, we would obviously want to improve the diversity on this slope. However, given the constraints for watering and keeping that invasive vegetation at bay, we think bayberry is going to establish well and do well in this particular area, and keep this spot stable. We are proposing 27 bayberry. I know one question was the spacing. That's a little bit greater than 4 foot on center spacing. I think we could, if the commission would like us to plant a few more bayberry in there, we could probably, to get it closer to that 4 foot on center spacing, come closer to 40 bayberry versus 27. But again, we're hoping to seed this area with deep-rooted native grasses to help, in addition to the bayberry, hold that slope. So happy to answer any questions about what's happening with the previously approved wetland restoration, as well as with this one particular area on the slope below the clubhouse. Thank you.
Thank you, Teresa. Jen.
Yeah, thank you, Teresa. Thank you, Zach. To the peer review, I know when the board heard the amendment on this and denied the amendment resulting in this full notice of intent, the board had made some comments that certain commissioners wanted to see a peer review on this project. So the town has pre-vetted 5 or 6 engineering firms to conduct peer reviews. I do have a proposal from Ty and Bond to conduct the work. I've already spoken to Zach about the proposal, so if the board is still interested in invoking the consultant's fee, you would need to do so and vote that this evening, and then I can contact Ty and Bond to undertake that peer review. As soon as they get approval from the commission to start the peer review, they think the process is going to take them about 2 weeks. So I've talked to Zach about timing to give him some time to look at the peer review once it's submitted, if that's the route the board wants to take. Teresa, thank you for clarifying some of the questions in Alyssa's staff report. And I think that's all I have, Mr. Chairman, unless Alyssa, you have anything to add? It's your staff report.
I think everything was addressed. Thank you.
All right. Commissioner comments, Kevin,
No comments, Mr. Chairman.
Maury,
I just had a couple. I think we should definitely have the peer review and invoke that tonight. I also think that an engineer should be on site for any backfilling of any of the drainage that they're proposing. That was the downfall of the septic system because they backfilled with inappropriate material. And I want to make sure that this design is appropriate. So I think the peer review would be helpful. I'm not an engineer, but the NDS that they're using, I hope will be substantial for the amount of fill that they're going to be putting over this area and that it's clean fill. And for Teresa, you're talking about the grasses and the bayberry where we usually do 3 gallon, 3 foot on center. We just had several plants tonight. That's what we do. And on that slope, it's a very steep slope. And I think the denser the shrubbery there, the better. We're not looking for pretty, we're looking for practical. And the soils that you're using to plant up in that area, are you bringing in soils?
No, generally, we only bring in some compost just to give the plants a little bit of a head start, but the plants are supposed to be able to survive in the material that they're planted in. I don't know the spec on the soil material that's being brought in for the backfill. I'm assuming it's some kind of bank run, so we'll add some compost just to bring some nutrients in and just to get the bayberry roots established. As far as it being a steep slope, we are proposing 3 gallon plants. 3 foot on center spacing is a really tight spacing for shrubs that are going to be, 6 feet plus wide, which is why we've been kind of pushing more towards the 4 foot on center spacing. I do think we can successfully plant 3 gallon shrubs in here without an issue, just because of the steepness of the slope. Planting at 3 foot on center is really tight planting, even on a level area. So if the commission would consider something closer to 4 foot on center, I think we'll have better success. 3 foot on center is just a very tight spacing for such large shrubs, even under really great circumstances. And this is far less than the best circumstances we could be planting in.
Well, we also allow 2 to 3 gallon. And I think the board has been very receptive that smaller plants and more of them are better than bigger plants because they don't establish as well. And I'm really concerned because you don't even know what the soil is there. And a lot of this is going to be, this has been the failure of most everything on this project is the soils, because I think that the consultant will be very helpful, the peer review, to make sure these soils are correct. There's a lot of overwash on that slope. Grasses, I don't know how they're going to establish fast enough to get their deep root control that you want, which I think is what we need there.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you're gonna probably jute mat it or
Yeah.
fiber mat it, which is gonna be definitely needed.
Yes.
But other than that, I really think that an engineer has to be on site for any backfill, any soils there, because that's why the septic failed. And that will be the failure of this next project if it's not correct. Thank you.
Zach,
Can I just respond for a second? The proposed drainage systems that were installed were already installed before the project had been requested for the amendment at the top of the hill. We can speak with the contractor and see what he had for pictures and everything on that. I know he did bring in clean sand and rectify all that at the top of the hill. So the only backfill would be associated with the proposed wall if approved. Because we had already addressed the drainage at the top of the hill and then all the downspouts at the building and tied them into a subsurface system already.
Then I think the picture should be submitted into the file so we know what he backfilled with, so there's not a failure.
We can do that.
If you have to deal with it, you better do it now while everything's being, open and worked on, not after. Thank you.
We can speak with them.
Melissa,
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Let's see, first of all, the term soil, after looking at the site is quite a stretch. I'd say it's sand. But regardless of that, I had difficulties on the site finding the stakes, but B, you keep mentioning these trees that are going to be removed. And, when looking up at the scar, I kept seeing very large trees. Yes, one of them was topped, but it was still alive. And the root systems of whatever trees you're going to be removing are probably the only things holding that bank still there. And I'd really appreciate it if you could mark those trees that are going to be removed, because I was just standing below the bank and standing above the bank trying to figure out, which ones would they be removing? Are you taking out some of the large oaks that are there? Are those the ones that you're going to
Need
remove?
to share my screen at this time if you don't mind.
yes.
So the 5 red trees that are shown here were already previously cut.
Yeah.
Yep, so those are the ones that were proposed or under the application to remove because they had been removed. They've been flush cut at grade. As part of Teresa's plan, we're going to leave the rooting system there and give them a fresh cut to promote regeneration of those areas. So again, our overall intent here, and it's hard to see them right now at the moment just because of the rest of the undergrowth that has grown up in the area.
You're not removing 5 additional trees. It's the 5
it's
that were
just
already moved. Okay.
exactly.
Well, thank you. And I agree that we definitely need a peer review of the project. It's very complicated. We need to get it right this time. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Steve,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Teresa, you got a hell of a job ahead of you. Excuse my language. If you intend to control that hill vegetation, it's remarkable. It's a very healthy growth area of whatever's growing there. The stone wall is well beyond my comprehension to understand. If there's anybody here with more engineering experience, I've looked at it and thought about it and saw the size of those boulders that rolled down the hill and thought, I don't know whether that wall will work or not. So I guess we need a consultant.
all right.
Mr. Chairman?
Yep.
I know I passed, but I wonder if I could ask a question. Could you have them explain the role that tie and bond will play in all this?
So Kevin, if the board
Yes.
votes to require a consultant, Ty and Bond will perform that review for the commission. So they will be
Okay,
the peer reviewing consultant.
Yeah.
For the commission.
yeah, okay. And perhaps even provide some people in the field to at least witness the construction?
that's something that we can speak with them about. Right now, their proposal is just to review, obviously, the site itself, the submittal, the slope calculations. They'll be requesting those from Bracken Engineering or whomever did those kind of slope stabilization calculations. But that's something we can further talk with them about, because we have companies that have been vetted, Kevin, that provide construction oversight as well. So that is something that can be done.
I just brought it up for a variety of reasons.
No,
but,
understand.
Years ago, in a way, I was a competitor of Ty and Bonds, and I have a lot of respect for the company.
Okay.
All right. Betsy,
I agree that we should have the peer review, and if you'd like, I'll make a motion to invoke that.
well, let's get through the rest of the comments first,
Okay.
please. All right, so Courtney,
I absolutely think we need a peer review. I daily get my ears filled by my neighbors about how upset they are with what's going on over there. And some of that, I think, is a reflection of, people don't like change. But I also think the folks there have been a bit cavalier in the way they deal with things. And their problems with the septic system and this bank are just one example or two examples. And I think that bank absolutely has to be stabilized. And I think it doesn't, I don't think we worry about how pretty it is. I think it has to be heavily vegetated and stable. Because that's part of the problem, that's part of the larger problem. And I know Teresa, you talk about things being 4 feet on center and getting them all established, and we'll dig a little hole and put some compost in there and it'll make it good. And under normal circumstances, I'd agree with that, but this is different. And this really needs the maximum effort. And this commission owes it to the community to have a peer review and to hold these folks' feet to the fire. So those are my comments.
all right. Jen, is there anything in the public chat function, please?
There is nothing in the public chat, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, before we go and for however we're going to deal with this, closing or continuing, let's vote on the peer review as a separate thing. I think that would be the best. Okay, so what I'd be looking for is a motion and a second, and then we're going to vote on whether we want to invoke the peer review. Is that clear to everyone?
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to do that first. So I'll entertain a motion.
So I'll make a motion to invoke the peer review.
Second, O'Brien.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to invoke the peer review. So we'll take a vote on that. Betsy,
Filter, aye.
Courtney,
Bird eye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Maury,
Harlow Hawks Eye.
Melissa,
Tall guy.
Steve. Steve, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Thank you. Pat and I.
Thank you. Okay, so that's unanimous. So Zach, just so you know, we have invoked that peer review.
Yep, and we'll coordinate with Jen tomorrow on that.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, and just for the commission's, just to let the commission know, again, the town has 5 pre-vetted consultants out to provide consulting services to all the regulatory and all the boards in town. Ty and Bond was specifically chosen by the town engineer. So I had him reach out to the company. We were provided the proposal. As soon as the board approves and we receive payment from AutoCamp, we can get them started on the peer review, which they said will take about 2 weeks. So Zach and I were discussing about how long the continuances would be for. I know the particular engineer that submitted the proposal is out of the office till Monday.
If we want this, the September
Zach, were you
28th meeting,
thinking, what were we talking about, Zach?
I think the September 28th meeting, if we want to shoot for that, Jen.
Okay, this is September 28th. That'll give everybody plenty of time to conduct the review, write it up. I can get that to you. And you can address.
I can have any on-site meetings with
Review.
them.
So I think, yep, September 28th will work.
Are there any other comments or questions? All right. Let's have a.
So I'll make a motion to continue this hearing till September 28th.
Freytag will second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second to continue this till 9:28. We're all clear on what we'd be looking for at that point. Perfect. All right. Betsy,
Gladfelder, aye.
Courtney,
Third eye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Maury,
Earl Hawks Eye.
Melissa,
Freytag, aye.
Steve.
At night.
All right, it is unanimous. We have continued this till 9:28. Thank you, Zach. Thank you, Teresa.
Thank you.
Thank you, Zach. I'll be in touch tomorrow on how to move forward with the process.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay.
Good night, Teresa.
Thank you. Good night, Teresa.
Good night, Zach. Good night, Teresa.
Good night,
Zach, are you still here?
I'm off the hot seat tonight.
Well, we'll look forward to seeing you again.
We'll see you again. Thank you very much. Take care.
Bye.
Thanks. All right, next up, Karen E. Sachetti, trustee, Karen Sachetti, Revocable Trust, 461 Central Avenue, East Falmouth, Mass. For permission to construct an elevated second floor addition with a stairway and to install mitigation plantings. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I am promoting Brad Bertolo from JC Engineering up to present his project. Brad, will you be able to share your screen this evening?
Yes, I can.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening,
You're up,
Robert
sir.
Sola with JC Engineering. On behalf of Karen Sachetti at the property of 461 Central Avenue. I'm going to share my screen.
Thank you.
Okay, again, this is at 461 Central Avenue. It's at the near the southern end of the roadway. We are proposing a small addition to a existing dwelling. The lot is currently pre-developed with a dwelling, garage, deck and patio area, shed, garden, and some lawn area. The site has been delineated for wetlands locations by Bob Gray, shown in this location here. We did a topographic survey and delineated the top coastal bank shown in this purple line. As you can see in this location here, we have a 50-foot coastal bank buffer and a 100-foot coastal bank buffer. Zone A for the first 50 feet, Zone B for the second 50 feet. The salt marsh has Zone A 100 foot. As you can see, the existing structure is situated both within the 100-foot buffer zone of the salt marsh and the 100-foot buffer zone of the coastal bank, shown in green and purple respectively. What the applicant would like to do is construct a elevated second floor cantilevered, well, not cantilevered, but an upper story that would be supported by 3 posts. Currently, he has some finished space above the garage on the second floor, and he's looking to expand that. He's also proposing secondary access with a stairway on the southern side of the garage. This proposed stairway would be floodplain only, as it's outside 100 foot of any other resource area. As part of the project, there is certain areas both within Zone A of the salt marsh highlighted in green. This little corner here and this tiny corner represents 14 square feet. And the area highlighted in purple is the area represented within the Zone B of the coastal bank. That represents 96 square feet. Again, that's all upper structure, but the only ground permanent change would be the construction or installation of 3 footings. This one basically is just outside of it, but the over dig I anticipate is going to take place within the buffer zone. This area is relatively flat. There are no proposed grade changes. To account for the proposed work that's within these 100-foot buffer zones, we've calculated a minimum required mitigation area based on the 14 square feet at 3:1 and the 96 at 2:1. Comes out to 234 square feet of required planting. We did propose this highlighted green area closest to the resource areas. This is the outer boundary of the current natural vegetation. This is the area where it's currently void of any natural vegetation, basically just grass. So we are proposing a 330 square foot replication area in this zone to offset the proposed work that's within the 100 feet in this area here. Again, we're not proposing any grade changes. It's a relatively flat site. It is in flood zone AE 12. The structure is going to be elevated about 1 story up. So it's going to obviously meet FEMA requirements for work in a flood zone. We are proposing 3 posts on footings for the structure and anticipate probably 2 sonotubes for this stairway here and steps. I believe that covers everything with the project. If the commission has any questions on the project, I'd be happy to answer. I would like to note that I did receive a copy of the staff report about changing the vegetation that's proposed for the mitigation to different species and to shrink down the spacing from 4 feet to 3 feet on center. We have no issues with those recommendations by staff. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. Jen?
Thank you, Brad, for addressing the planting comments. So we'll just incorporate that and condition that. So we'll just ask you to submit a revised plan, but we'll condition that for you. The only thing I have is underneath, you're saying it's going to be on posts. What's the elevation of that?
Current grade there is about elevation 8.
Okay.
And it's 1 story up, so about 8 to 9 feet up is the first floor of the.
So is there going to be like a patio, or how are they just going to leave that area like grass or dirt, or?
There are a couple shrubs underneath that I have a feeling probably may not survive with being under it. So my guess, we usually recommend like some type of like crushed stone or something pervious.
Yeah, I was just curious.
Yeah.
All right, great. That's all I have, unless Alyssa has anything to add.
Thank
Not
you.
at this time. Thank you.
All right. All right, commissioner comments, and I'll apologize for saying the name wrong. Sachetti, I should have known that, but hey, what can I tell you? All right, commissioner comments, Maury.
I just had one comment, and that was where the, there's a opening to the salt marsh where there's no shrubbery, that maybe some of that mitigation can just close off the grass going right to the salt marsh. And that was all.
You can condition that.
Thank you.
Okay. Melissa.
I believe I'm seeing a rinse station pad underneath the addition. Is that correct?
Pre-existing. Yeah, current.
What kind of ground are you going to use in that? Oh, it's pre-existing. Oh, okay.
Pre-existing, yeah.
Okay, forget it. No more questions. Didn't see it.
Steve,
No questions.
Betsy,
So when I was out there, I was asked about the limit of work. And actually, you have hay bale, and usually we would say straw bale. But I think the applicants would prefer to have silt fencing. That was what I was asked if they could have. And I think that could be addressed through the order of conditions, through the special conditions.
Yeah, the detail says, I mean, the plan says hay bale line, but our detail calls for straw bales. Whatever is acceptable to the commission. It may be overkill to put both types of erosion control measures for the three sonotubes or 3 footings that would be dug.
Yeah. Well, I'll let Jen make a suggestion for us when we vote next week.
you good?
That's all, Jamie. Thanks.
All right. Courtney,
No questions.
Kevin,
No questions, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
all right. Jen, is there anything in the public chat function, please?
Nothing in the public chat, Mr. Chairman.
Then I'll make a motion to close the hearing and take it under advisement.
Bird second.
All right. We have a motion and a second to close the hearing. If there's nothing further. All right, Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney,
Bird eye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Maury,
Harlow Hawks Eye.
Melissa,
Fragile guy.
Steve.
And
It is unanimous. We have closed the hearing. Thank you, Brad.
All right, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Is this your first time in Falmouth?
It's been a while, yes.
Okay, well, welcome.
Thank you.
All right. Next up, continued request for a notice of intent. 357 has been previously continued. That brings us to Michael and Doralee Bingham, trustees. The Bingham Revocable Trust, 27 Crosby Lane, Falmouth, Mass. For permission to modify the structure of an existing dock. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the applicant is requesting a continuance until September 14th, correct, Alyssa? Yeah, September 14th. They're waiting for their MIPA certificate. If you're wondering what the delay is on this, they needed to go to the Mass Environmental Policy Act. So they are trying to get that certificate prior to coming before the board.
Bird, so move.
Gladfelter, second. Oh, sorry.
Doesn't matter.
All right, we have a motion and multiple seconds for continuing this until 9:14. And as far as I know, this hasn't been opened yet.
It has not.
Okay, Steve?
thanks. Just for our listening audience, and maybe for me, could you explain why they have to go for a MIPA for this particular project?
Wow.
We can explain
Wait,
it.
that's a
that
first.
it kind of has a convoluted kind of history in which they received an order of conditions, I believe. They were going to apply for a Chapter 91 license. Somehow that Chapter 91 license was never issued. It was actually never applied for. I believe that's what it was. And Chapter 91 does, if you need a state permit, if you trip certain thresholds within MIPA and you need the state permit, then you need to go to the Mass Environmental Policy Act. So it has to do with the Chapter 91 license.
Right.
Because it's in an ACEC, Steve. So it's way up in Munakis, so it's within the Wacoipe ACEC. And if it's a dock and an ACEC in the chapter 91, that's what's triggering NEPA.
All righty. And Steve, you made Jen speechless. I'm impressed. All right,
It's got a backstory.
I'll be calling on you again. All right. We have a motion and a second to continue this till 9:14. If there's nothing further, Betsy,
Aye. Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney,
Bird eye.
Matthews, aye, Kevin,
O'Brien, I.
Maury,
Carlo Hawks, aye.
Melissa,
Fairchild, aye.
Steve.
And
It is unanimous. We have continued this until 9:14. Next up, request to amend an existing order of conditions. First up, James J. Mangravetti Jr., 101 Madeline Road, Falmouth, Mass. Request to amend the order of conditions for Mass DEP number 25-4530 to request after the fact approval for the expansion of previously approved decks and for the installation of a gravel and gravel pave driveway, and to request permission to install additional mitigation plantings. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I've promoted Tom Bunker up to present the request to amend.
Mr. Bunker, you're up, sir.
Yes, thank you. For the record, my name is Tom Bunker with BSS Design, and also for the record, Mr. Mangraviti is waiting in the wings. James Mangraviti Jr., he's on there, would like to be part of this also.
I'll promote him up, Tom.
Yeah.
Your client has been promoted up.
Okay. This property at 101 Madeline Road was permitted under order of conditions May of 2020. The DEP file number SE 0254530 and is under construction. This spring, late winter, spring, we did the survey for compliance and saw a few things that had to come back to you for approval, some differences in how the construction went on. There was 41, the deck facing the water, the deck system facing the water is 41 square feet larger. And in a couple of places, a little bit.
Excuse me, Tom, you're not sharing your screen.
No, I know.
Oh, okay.
Just, yeah, I'll share the screen.
Be stingy.
I thought you just wanted to hear my nice voice going on here. But here's our screen, our plan requesting to amend the order. Basically I have this house here at 101 Madeline Road. Fronts on Eel Pond here. There was approval to construct the house here and plant mitigation planting along the top of the coastal bank here. There was some planting of replacement plants. Some of these plants are replacement, non-mitigation. The garden had been more north up against the sort of the more vegetated area, but there was moved south to get away from where some trees were to be planted. We can go into some areas here. This other hatching here is the outer line of this hatching is how the deck was built. And the inner line, I'm just talking about this dark border of hatching right here. The inner line of the hatching is the approved permitted line of the deck. And so it is different in some places, a foot or more closer. The the C line here is a line that we sometimes put on plans. You have your A zone, your B zone, and I have the C line, which stands for the closest. So there's a line I had on there that's closest we could come and not be closer to the resource areas. And so you see it was all permitted further back from the resource areas than the existing original house. I put the outline of the house in here. There's one corner right here where the C line touches it here. But this darker hatching area is 41 square feet more. And that 41 square feet it's in zone A, requires 123 square feet more mitigation planting. And when we surveyed it and measured the amount that was planted, we found that there was $456 square feet were required. 333 were required originally. 123 is required, more is required now. Originally it was planted, 401 square feet were planted. And so there's 55 more square feet required to be planted. And so we've shown the planting in an area here that's along the top of the coastal bank, 55 well, we show it as 55 square feet here. That will compensate for the additional coverage, but there are some areas where right in around the steps here down where we had calculated it was constructed at 62.3 feet from in this case from the salt marsh, and the previous house at its closest was 62.4 feet. So this corner right here is 1/10 of a foot closer. And then this corner on the other side of the steps is 2/10 closer. That's 62.4 down to 62.2. The bigger change is the 61.5. So it's about 9/10 of a foot too close. That's this bottom step. And if I can find, I have some pictures here. I can show you exactly what it's. So that line cuts across here. So it's basically diagonally across the bottom of the step. Now it is possible, these are like 10 inches. The treads are deeper than required by code. So these steps can be rebuilt with smaller treads to pull it back away from the, so it's no longer closer to the resource area than the previous house. And that's cutting across the bottom step right here. Basically from this corner, which is already 1/10 too close, across the bottom of the step. We are hoping and praying that you will see 1/10 and 2/10 closer than the previous house as de minimis, or at least not a substantial impact, and allow that to remain, but the steps can be rebuilt to move back. Another thing that was built is this stone drip strip that's in a zone A, which would require mitigation planting in a zone A. I don't have that calculated. I don't know how many square feet it is. But it's, I think, our intention that we can remove that stone strip and fill it with, put loam back in. And I think the applicant's landscaper can talk with the staff to see what should be planted there. They don't want shrubs right up against the house, but something low growing and low maintenance. I think if you saw this area here, a very small amount of lawn, you can see that it's a nice, somewhat native planting community here. I think they did a good job with it. And anyway, we'd have to get through this. I'd have to submit a new plan showing that step to be removed or rebuilt smaller, and a couple other things. However you would decide, we would proceed with this project. So I'll just take this down and make any comments at the moment.
Thanks, Tom.
Okay.
All right. Mr. Mangarvey, would you like to add anything at this point?
I can add that I have COVID right now, so I'm actually exiled to the porch we're talking about if you want to see anything. And I'm a little bit more incoherent than usual, but I'll respond to any questions if they come up. So, so if you want to see anything, I am actually on the deck.
Okay. All right. Jen.
I need you to put the plan back up if you don't mind. Because Alyssa and I were having some confusion about, where you're getting your 68 square feet of over mitigation. Can you point that out to me?
You know, when I first read the staff report, I didn't see that exactly. I think it's actually 68 or 86. 100. Oh, it is 68. Yeah, 68 square feet too much.
Where is that located?
Well, it's probably, I don't know if it's any one particular place. I think there's a little, right here, for instance, the fence along this location was built a little bit closer to the garden, but over here was built a little bit further away. So I think there's a little bit more planting right through here. This little triangular area here, which is larger than this triangular area where the fence is a little further closer to Eel Pond. I think also some of it is right here, like Alyssa's asked if it's of these extra shrubs. These 3 shrubs are not worth 68 square feet, but some of it's here. This is maybe 30 square feet of it here. And I think that I could put up, well, I have how it was approved right here, and maybe you can see.
Yeah, and that's the area I'm looking at on my computer right now, Tom, is that area was part of the mitigation, so you can't count that area.
Which area?
There's little dots in it, see?
What do you mean I can't count it?
Well, you're counting, you're saying that it was overplanted, but that area was clearly mitigation.
Talking about here, where the dots are.
Where the dots are.
Right, that was the proposed mitigation.
He's saying he put more square footage than was required.
No, I know what he's saying. I want to know where it is. That's what I don't understand.
Okay, over here, and like these 3 are outside the proposed mitigation area. So there was four honeysuckle. I think these 4 honeysuckle shrub, or not, these are replacement for honeysuckle, were moved further inland, and then there were 3 here that I included in the area of mitigation because these are the 4 that were put in as replacement. It could be that there was a little bit down, yeah. So down here, this shrub went a little bit further downhill, so it crosses down below the 6 contour here. And on the approved plan, all the mitigation is above the 6 contour. So there's a little bit down here, there's some here. There is some, as I said, whoops. No, I'll get that back.
I think you're reaching, Tom, but we'll let the.
Well, I can't tell you exactly where they came. That's just how we located the mitigation. I mean, and I think Jim is, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but it's kind of like, well, he'll if you want more mitigation or something, then we'll do it. But also, if we take out this bottom step or move them all back, then there's, in the end, less coverage. I mean, we'll make it however you want to come out right. And
Okay, Tom. So I think the board has an understanding, like the staff was just confused where that extra mitigation was coming from. And I think the board right now needs to determine whether or not you agree with that and whether or not you want those steps reconstructed so they are not moving any closer than the present primary structure, the original present primary structure was. And other than that, I think the only other comment that Alyssa picked up on was no more use of sweet fern. We would want something a little bit more substantial than sweet fern. And I think that's all our comments, Mr. Chairman, unless Alyssa has anything to add.
I just had one comment. I think personally, Tom, Jen and I just had a different perspective when it came to the mitigation because we did meet on site. And that was the focal area when we were out there. It was sort of like, these are the extra plantings. So I think in our brain, when we looked at the plan, that's where we were focused. But it seems that that wasn't the only area. It was more of the width of the whole mitigation area you're explaining is actually a little larger. So I think our perspective was just a little skewed because I saw that little note there and I'm like, was the number wrong? Was it supposed to be more of this section? So we just got a little confused on that. But thank you for clarifying. I'm all set.
Yeah. Jen, what's the problem we have with the drip? It's pervious, no?
It's pervious. You usually require mitigation for pervious surfaces that don't support natural mitigation. I mean, natural vegetation.
Okay.
It was zone A.
I personally don't have a problem with that step. I mean, that's the only thing that really is, strictly speaking, a straight out violation. The problem is it's half a step. I realize the footage. I realize we set a precedent, yada, yada, yada. However, I like the fact that the treads are a full depth tread as opposed to something narrower. They're just safer all around. So I don't know. My 2 cents is I don't have a problem with that. So having said that, Kevin.
I would tend to agree with you, Mr. Chairman.
Maury.
Can we make a finding that the original distance, so in the future, because this house can get torn down 10 years from now, and that little de minimis step now becomes a house. So as long as we can, cover a precedent here, or make sure we don't set a precedent that it's the original house that was raised, nothing can ever be further than that. Because I kind of have to agree with you for half a step. I'm not having a lot of heartburn over it. Thank you.
Okay, we can make a finding for that, Maura. That's not a problem.
Melissa.
So I am having an issue with, I'm not having an issue with the step itself. I like the fact that it's a little safer there, but I am having an issue, and I don't know if it's something, if this is the appropriate forum, but my notes on my plan here say many dead plants. The original mitigation plants, I counted at least 16 dead plants in the original mitigation. 5 of them between the 7 and the 6 contour line in the corner there that Tom and Jen were just talking about. And then along the fence, they're on the original plan that I can see. They were 3 foot on center, at least according to nose to fingertip. So I presumed that they were original mitigation plants. I also saw the drip hose, and I know that we've had a very dry year, but you know, we've got an issue. We need to plant more mitigation plants, but yet the mitigation plants that were originally planted aren't even alive anymore. Can we tie something in to that? I mean, it seems to me like we need to choose a different breed. I don't know which plant it was that died. There are at least two varieties. But that was a big concern I had. And the 55 square foot addition was nicely marked, nicely staked.
We can certainly condition that, Melissa.
Yeah, we're not here yet for compliance, of course, and so certainly at the time of compliance, we'll have to make sure that they're all alive.
Yeah.
And then, Jim, did you want to say something? You're muted.
Yeah, Melissa, obviously it's been brutal. So
Yeah.
that drip hose was out and it wasn't turned on, which made it worse. So, in terms of the suite front, I'll address that right now. What we did originally, we had a landscape architect in Osterville. They're very good. Anything that we want to do, we'll send it to, I guess, Alyssa or Jen, or whoever you prefer. We sent it to Kevin last time to get your feedback within your specs. And obviously, they're going to come out and do everything at once, get rid of the gravel out front and replace any mitigation plant that is dead. So that's obviously comes with the territory.
Okay, well, thank you for replacing the dead mitigation plants. Okay.
Not thanking me for much.
Yeah, it's okay. I appreciate it. Okay, then no further comments.
Steve?
Oh, thank you. Those were issues, and thank you, Maury. I agree with you and Maury.
Betsy?
I like Moore's suggestion for the special conditions. And yeah, I don't have a problem with the step. It's fine. I hope Mr. Mangraviti gets better and can enjoy walking out into what I always call the front yard. To me, it's the front yard when you're looking at your resource, but I think everybody refers to it as the backyard.
Amen. Thank you.
Courtney?
I'm going to be the contrarian in this. First of all, I don't really have a problem with the French drain in the front. You've got to get rid of stormwater. The alternative is, okay, you put plants in there and so on. Now you build a dry well that clogs up and all that. So from a practical matter, I don't have a problem with that. However, and I really honestly don't have a problem with that step. However, I would remind the commission that we need to be consistent. And we had a project in Woods Hole where, in fact, I took the position that a 1-foot step was a de minimis thing and that we should allow it. And the commission said, no, it's moving closer. It's 1 foot. They're going to have to rebuild the step and move it back. And I think we need to be consistent, folks.
I don't believe they had built the step, Courtney.
Oh, I don't care whether they built it or not. If we're going to allow it, we're not being consistent.
Anything else?
No.
All right. Jen, is there anything in the public chat function, please?
Nothing in the public chat, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. All right, so do we all feel we have enough information to close the hearing?
Can I ask a question?
Yep.
So
Yes,
the
I've got
question
one.
is, pardon me?
Never mind.
You'll pay for these sometime, Jamie.
Yeah.
My question is, those of you who build stuff and who do landscaping and who have that kind of experience. So is the reason why you're switching from the drip, I guess it's a French drain, to putting plants there is because you don't want to put mitigation plants somewhere else? Is that why? Because it seems to me for stormwater runoff, it would be better to have that drip that drainage area as opposed to plants that probably won't make it if it's a big.
Agreed.
If I can
Mr.
address that.
McGravity?
So is it okay if I speak? I'm sorry.
Yes, it is.
So that area is underneath gutters. There is no runoff. So the landscape has put that in.
Oh, it's under gutters. Okay.
And it goes into, you got 4 dry wells there, Betsy, so that there's no function to that whatsoever. And with the landscape, it just made a mistake when they put that in. There's no purpose to it.
Okay. Then fine. Put whatever kind of plants you're going to put there.
Yeah, it'll be ground cover because the builder made a little bit of an error. They put the silcock way down the end. So we have to be able to walk over that area to get to the silcock so we can irrigate. And also just to do maintenance, obviously. So it'll be low ground cover.
Okay. So you want to motion, Jamie?
I believe so, unless there's more comments or questions.
Well, then I'll make a motion to close this hearing and take it under advisement.
Third, second.
All right. We have a motion and a second to close this hearing. There were no public comments. So the vote, Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney,
Third, aye.
Matthews, aye, Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Maury,
Carlo Hawks, aye.
Melissa,
Sorry, Freitag, aye.
Steve.
Aye.
It is unanimous. We have closed this hearing. Thank you, Mr. Mangraviti. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you
Jim, I hope
all.
you feel better soon.
Thank you very much.
You look like you don't feel too good, actually.
I actually ran the road race on Sunday as well and ended up
Oh.
in the tent for that.
Yeah, the heat was awful.
Super spreader.
Super spreader.
It's been an interesting event. It's been an interesting week.
Yeah.
We'll get better.
Go Jumbos.
All right.
All right.
Good night, all.
Appreciates that.
Good night. Next up, continued request to amend an existing order of conditions. Karen David Howe, 0 Vineyard Street, Falmouth, Mass. Request to amend the order of conditions for Mass DEP number 25-4580 to adopt the special conditions associated with the Department of Environmental Protection's superseding order of conditions. Jen.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the applicant is requesting a continuance until September 21st.
We have
So
a
moved.
reason. Second, we have a reason.
They're trying to resolve a appeal to the superseding order of conditions that was issued. So this was, if the board remembers, this was beach nourishment, beach maintenance. They originally had come in to use a machine. The board said no removal of the cobble. I believe the neighbors filed an appeal to our order of conditions to DEP. So they're at the DEP level trying to resolve the superseding order that was issued by the state. When that is issued, they'll be coming back to amend, obviously to amend your order so that it matches the DEP order.
The DEP is allowing them to do the,
No,
no,
Yeah.
okay.
there's,
All right.
they're still just resolving some small issues with the beach nourishment.
Okay. Anything else? All right, we have a motion and a second to continue this until September 21st. Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney,
Third, aye.
Matthews, aye, Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Maury,
Carlo Hawks, aye.
Melissa,
Freitag, aye.
Steve.
Aye.
It is unanimous. We have continued this until 9/21. Next up, continued hearing under an enforcement order. Louis Maglio Jr. and Betty Maglio, 57 Showa Drive, East Falmouth, Mass. Unpermitted construction of a shed, platform, and staircase within conservation jurisdiction. Jen,
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the property owner is requesting a continuance until August 31st.
So moved.
Bird second.
all right, we have a motion and a second to continue this until 8:31. If there's no concerns. All right, Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney,
Bird eye.
Matthews, aye, Kevin. Kevin O'Brien,
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
Kevin, you still there?
Kevin, unmute yourself.
All right, we'll take Kevin out of this one. Maury,
Carla Hawks eye.
Melissa,
Okay.
Steve,
Pat and I,
all right.
Oh.
With-
There it
There he
is.
is. Kevin,
Aye.
okay. It is unanimous, sort of. We'll continue this till 8:31. Next up, Leonard Bassett Jr. and Patricia Bassett, trustees, 465 Courier Road, East Falmouth, Mass. Unpermitted removal of trees within conservation jurisdiction. Jen,
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the property owner is requesting a continuance until September 14th.
So moved.
Bird second. And the reason?
We're working with Falmouth Engineering right now to develop a plan to present to the commission.
Okay,
It took a very long time to get a survey done on this property.
okay.
everybody's slammed. All right, there's no concerns. We're gonna take the vote. Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney,
Bird eye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Mary,
Carla Hawks eye.
Melissa,
Okay.
Steve.
Pat and I.
It is unanimous. We have continued this till 9:14. Next up, Glenda Whiting, 74 Edgewater Drive, East Falmouth, Mass. Unpermitted removal of vegetation within conservation jurisdiction.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the staff is requesting that we continue this matter until August 31st. We are having difficulty reaching the homeowner.
So moved.
Bird second.
All right. We have a motion and a second to continue this until 8:31. Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney,
Bird eye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Maury,
Carla Hawks eye.
Melissa,
Okay.
Steve.
Pat and I.
It is unanimous. We have continued this till 8:31. 8:31 is going to be busy. I think I'm sick that night. All right. Next up, vote order of conditions. Daniel H. and Mary E. Webb, 51 Sitters Lane, Falmouth, Mass.
May I make a suggestion, Jamie?
Absolutely.
So Maury's not on any of these. So could we table this until other business and then come back? And so Maury can relax the rest of the evening, unless she wants to listen.
That's very nice of you, Betsy.
Wow.
Wow.
So sweet, Betsy.
So may I-
I'll put that in the form of a motion and we table the orders.
Well, I'll second it. But Jamie didn't tell us whether we could do that or not.
We can do anything you want. See how easy that is? All right, we have a motion and a second to table orders of conditions for the moment. Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney,
Bird eye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Maury,
Carla Hawks eye.
Melissa,
Okay.
Steve.
Pat and I.
It is unanimous. We have tabled order of conditions in lieu of other business. Bartolome Conservation Area, permission to use the Bartolome Conservation Area for a celebration of life
Yes,
ceremony.
Mr. Chairman, we have received a request to have a small celebration of life at the Bartolome property. They anticipate about 20 people. they will leave the property as they found it. And this, I'm sorry, they want to have the celebration of life. I believe, Alyssa, it is this weekend, correct?
It's in a few
Oh.
days, yes.
Yes.
All right,
So do you need a motion?
We do. Miss.
ma'am.
Well, I'll make a motion to allow that.
Thank you.
Third second.
We have a motion and a second to allow this, the use of this property for a celebration of life ceremony. Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney,
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye, Kevin,
O'Brien, I.
Maury,
Hello, Hawks Eye.
Melissa,
I just want to confirm that we're talking 20 people, right? That's in the motion.
More or less, yes.
Okay, aye.
Steve.
Pat and I.
It is unanimous. We have issued permission. Thank you. So with that, Maury, you're
Night, Maury.
dismissed.
I'm dismissed.
Night,
Good night,
Maury.
everyone. Thank you.
Good night.
See you soon.
We need a motion to untable.
Yes, we do.
Are you
I'll move
making
to
it?
Untable the orders.
I'll second it.
Okay.
Gladfelter,
All right. So we have a motion and a second to untable the order of conditions. Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney,
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye, Kevin,
O'Brien, I.
Melissa,
Right, guy.
Steve.
Pat and I.
It is unanimous. We have untabled orders of conditions. So at the risk of being repetitive, the next up is vote order of conditions. Daniel H. and Mary E. Webb, 51 Sitters Lane, Falmouth, Mass.
Yes, this is to construct a small dock structure, aluminum ramp and float in Sitter's Pond. The only special condition that I would recommend would be the time of year restriction recommended by DMF from March 15th to June 30th.
Okay. Anybody have anything they want to see in there? They have a chapter 91, correct?
They will go and,
Well, they have to get one, I'm sorry.
yes, correct.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll move to
Oh.
accept the order as discussed.
So issue an order of conditions.
Issue an order of conditions as discussed. Sorry.
I'll second that.
All right. We have a motion and a second to issue an order of conditions. Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney,
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye, Kevin,
O'Brien, I.
Melissa,
Right, guy.
Steve.
Pat and I.
It is unanimous. We have issued an order of conditions. And just for the record, I should have said it already, but Maury is not on any of these quorums, so again, just for the record. Next up, Vincent Jeffroy, sorry. Falmouth Holdings Corp., 278 Scranton Ave, Falmouth, Mass.
This is the reconstruction of the whole Falmouth Marine facility. They're moving the ticket booth, everything else. We would recommend a time of year restriction from January 15th to May 31st.
And they need a new chapter 91, correct?
Either that or a modification to their existing chapter 91 license,
Okay.
yes.
All right. Anybody have anything they want to see in there? We had
I'll make 'em-
stormwater control and that stuff, right?
Yes, they do.
Yeah, okay. Betsy,
I'll make a motion to issue an order of conditions as discussed.
Bird, second.
all right. We have a motion and a second to issue an order of conditions. Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Bird, aye.
Courtney,
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye, Kevin,
O'Brien, I.
Melissa,
Right, guy.
Steve.
Pat and I.
It is unanimous. Thank you. We have issued an order of conditions. Next up, Walter Marioni, 409 West Falmouth Highway, West Falmouth.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is to do a patio, install a patio, do some landscape improvements, hardscaping, and to restore an area to the buffer that's a vernal pool. Is that a vernal pool over there, Alyssa, or am I getting my pools mixed up?
I believe there were potential vernal pools.
Potential vernal pool, and do a restoration of the buffer zone to the potential vernal pool on the let's say east side of the property. They're taking a very large hedgerow down on the front, along the front of the property along West Falmouth Highway, and then putting in mitigation and restoration plantings. I know the board received some comments from butters with concerns about the proposed restoration.
Well, you guys, meaning staff, you went over the plantings with the owners, right? The applicants.
Correct.
So we're pretty clear on that.
Yeah, I mean, they're proposing what they're proposing. It wasn't exactly what was there, but I think the abutters were looking for more of a screening.
Yeah.
A screening concept. But
So
they did change the restoration plantings in that altered buffer zone to address staff's comments.
Okay, and they changed from the arborvitae to the field-grown cedars, correct? Yeah, that was one of the
Yeah.
notes.
Alyssa,
I
I
had.
can't remember.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
they're proposed to be 5 to 6 foot field cedars now.
Perfect. All right.
I know a question. I have in my notes here that we were talking about periwinkle that they were proposing as a ground cover. Are they going to use something else instead?
I
Didn't
believe
they-
they're scratching the ground cover entirely, just planting shrubs and trees.
Okay.
I believe they put in a revised plan, correct, Alyssa? I just turned my VPN off. If the board wants, I can jump on real quick. Pull up the plan.
I'm okay.
I'm looking at it here. There's no ground cover currently proposed.
Okay. Thanks.
You're welcome.
I'll make a
Anything
motion
else?
to issue an order of conditions as discussed.
Third, second.
All right. We have a motion and a second to issue an order of conditions. If there's nothing further. All right, Betsy,
Bodfelter, aye.
Courtney,
Third, aye.
Matthews, aye, Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Melissa,
Right, tall guy.
Steve.
Patton, aye.
It is unanimous. We have issued an order of conditions. Next up, William Trifero, 330 Edgewater Drive East, East Falmouth, Mass.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this was second. Getting there. Still
It's
gonna
a
use
deck
my one
expansion
as an excuse.
for a wedding.
What was that?
It's a deck expansion for a wedding.
Mitigation by evade, certain finding zone, yeah, so this was to create a previously approved landing into a deck. Increasing the size of the deck.
Yeah, it was presently a landing. Now they're making it into a deck and
Yes.
proposing the required mitigation.
Correct. Finally, the board had some comments that they wanted to see the mitigation in by a date certain and findings on the visa, increase in the V zone. So we'll make that finding for you. I would say that as far as requiring the plants to be put in by a date certain, I would caution the board that there is that water ban in Falmouth, and I would not want
Yeah,
someone to be forced to put in plants by a date certain when they wouldn't be able to care for them. So I would recommend against that. Maybe by next spring, that'd be fine, but I'm not, not within the next couple of months.
no, and I agree with that. I was one of the ones that wanted it sooner than later, but you're right. This isn't the right time to be doing it.
No, it's
I
not.
mean, it's a recipe for failure.
Mhm.
So. All right, is there anything anybody else would like to see in there?
I'd be
All right.
happy to put a date certain in by next spring, if that's what the board would like.
Sure, put that in.
Okay.
We're bound to get water at some point. Probably way more than we want.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we had a lot of rain the other day. It's crazy.
It's coming.
It was nice to
live-
see.
I lived on an island again. The ground is so hard,
Yeah.
like it's cement.
I
Well,
was
you know what's
surprised
funny
the
is,
little stream
I
of
live
water.
out almost in Hatchville area, and I was talking to my brother who lives in East Falmouth proper, and I'm like, holy crap, you see how much water's coming down? He goes, what are you talking about? He goes, I'm
Yeah.
outside the sun. And I'm like, wow.
Wow.
I mean, that's not a lot, a large distance. And
Well, my friend lives in Sipawissa, and I said the same thing. There are two of us from West Falmouth, and it's like, wow, it's like a bucket came down. And she said, what? What are you talking about?
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
all right, let's focus. So anything anybody else wants to see in there?
No, I want to make a motion to close this meeting. No, I want to make a motion to issue an order of conditions
As discussed.
as discussed.
Bird second.
Tag team. All right, if there's nothing else, Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney,
Bird eye.
Matthews, aye, Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Melissa,
Tug eye.
Steve.
Patton, aye.
It is unanimous. We have issued an order of conditions. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
All right, last one.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second, Freitag.
Gladfelter, aye.
Bird eye.
Matthews, aye.
O'Brien, aye.
Is Maury still around?
No.
No, okay, Freitag eye.
Patton, aye.
It is unanimous. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Jamie,
Good
for
night, guys.